Welcome back to the Multifamily Mind Podcast. Today we chat with my good friend Audra LaMoon, Chief Happiness Officer for Livewire Performance Consultants. In today's discussion, Audra shares what multifamily can learn from the hospitality industry, how Livewire is redefining multifamily mystery shopping, and how to best facilitate team accountability. She also shares her most audacious recommendations for multifamily operators so that you can set it, forget it, and not regret it. Let's dive in. Well, hello, Audra, my dear.
Hello.
Superwoman, how are you today?
Da, da, da. I'm very well, thank you very much. I'm skiving. It's fabulous.
So I'm so excited to have you here on the Multifamily Mind. You know, we've had the opportunity to work together a couple of different times. Most recently, we worked together for some work you were doing with Gallery Residential based in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Kind of the creative sort. I love it when we can kind of come together as a creative entity and really put some great work out. For our listeners who may not know you, you've got a pretty solid background in hospitality training. So talking about hotels, retail, kind of that whole really service oriented industry. Maybe just tell our listeners a little bit about how you got started in hospitality. I love your origin story is hilarious. So share a little bit of that.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, here I am. They nicknamed me the Duchess of Hospitality, which I think is very funny because I actually started off as an air hostess and I was bloody rubbish and I got fired. The passengers had to look after me because I kept throwing up, which is not really the aim of the game, is it really? So, with that in mind, I was always getting told off for not wearing my uniform correctly. You know, I'd push my hat back, take my gloves off. I was a nightmare. And so the CEO said, because I was always getting into trouble and, you know, I'd turn up and go, oh my God, LaMoon, not you again. And then he's like, right, what I want you to do, he said, you're fired. I want you to bugger off for 2 years, go and learn about hospitality and come back and tell me all about it. So I took that challenge and I went to America. And at 17 and a half, and
wow.
I came over and I didn't know what to expect, but I couldn't believe the hospitality. I thought it was amazing compared to England, and I still do compared to England. And God bless us.
What America are you visiting?
yeah, later on that came. But I actually went into a McDonald's in Washington, D.C. And I don't eat McDonald's. I never have. But I do like their chocolate milkshakes. So I thought I'd go in and go into a real McDonald's. Went in and I was like trying to think. And then it took me forever in American time, clearly. Yeah. And I went, I'll have please can I have a chocolate milkshake? Thank you. And he went, forget your please and thank yous, ma'am, and just give me your order. I was so shocked. I was so dumbfounded. And I thought, oh my God. And I just knew I was on a mission. I was on a mission after that to find like good and great and terrible and in between stories. And I kind of collected those stories. And I knew at some point they would help me. And that's when I developed my fascination for hospitality and going through all the companies and all the challenges of life. And going back to England, I actually did go and see the CEO and showed him everything. And I'd written a training manual for the air hostesses and we should be doing this, we should be doing that. And he went, oh my God, we haven't got a training manual. And they didn't. And I wrote the very first training manual for the hovercraft, hover speed. And then it went from there. I started training. They got me to train on the ground. I wasn't allowed to go on board. So and that CEO is a mentor to me to this day. He's in his 80s and he's still...
I love it.
Yeah, he's lovely.
I love it. And just to clarify so the audience knows what you're talking about, she was an air hostess on the hovercraft that goes between England and France across the English Channel, which isn't it some of the roughest water in the world?
Yes, and busiest. It's really, really choppy. So the hovercraft goes like bang, 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 but you're meant to fly smoothly 8 inches above the water, which is why we're all trained by the Civil Aviation Authority. And the internal of the craft was the same as an aircraft. So you had to learn all the different fire hydrants, the exits are the same. So everything to disembark was exactly the same as an aircraft. So we were trained with that air stewardesses.
Okay.
But we went on 8 inches above the water, but we ended up underwater most of the time. They were horrific.
Yeah.
Yes, they were really bad.
What I loved about that story is how you took these missed opportunities, like the guy at McDonald's, keep you please and thank you, just give me your order, and all of the different experiences that you went through in hospitality, seeing that people were just not getting it. They didn't understand what true service was. And you've since then been able to create this amazing platform. You know, you're an international business owner. Your company does training all over the world in hospitality, in hotels, in retail, as well as multifamily. Part of that experience was you actually being a customer. And I think for our listeners, you know, those leasing teams, boots on the ground, you know, when you first started a property, I even think like quarterly or biannually, you should go shop your competitors, because you need to know how they're being treated when they're shopping for their home, how your customers are being treated. So, you know, do you recommend that people do that and the lessons that they can learn from shopping their comps?
Absolutely. And I know, like, in this day and age, you can't always get the pricing and everything because of laws and disclosure and stuff, but that doesn't matter because the pricing is the price. You can find that out one way or the other. But going through and being a genuine customer of somebody else always gives you your next best idea, and it also tells you what not to do. But I also train. So the platform I have helps clients to train themselves. So if they don't want the high end, you know, mystery shopper like me coming in with all the resort and other experience, you don't have to pay that rate. I train my clients to use my platform on my own reporting system so they can do their own mystery shopping just for $100 or $200. So it's a big difference, but it's still the same lesson. It's putting them through what they should be expecting from curb appeal right the way through. And you know what it's like with the follow-up's the worst thing ever. So we literally forensically look at every step, every channel to that customer and that person leasing, and back again. And, you know, why do we lose them? Why do we get them? How long do they typically stay? So you've got all this information that you can track if you keep doing it. So my large clients with large properties will do this quarterly. Other properties like offices and will do it biannually. So it depends on what the size of the property, the churn of the residents and staff as well. But it's such a good practice to get into. And with my retail people, I send safety and security officers, housekeeping, car park and valet people. I send them out in the shopping centres and the open air shopping malls, and they have to go out first as a customer on one day and come back with all their findings. And in another class, we send them out as the investor. So I literally say, go out there and act as if you own the bloody place and then come back and tell me what you would change. It's mind-blowing when you change your lens, what you see. And the fact is we want people to see everything before the customer does, right? So you don't want the customer telling you there's graffiti or there's an alligator in the swimming pool, or you can't have them be the first people to see it.
Right.
So that's it.
Right. I love it. And, you know, being able to have that ability to understand what does an investor or owner look for really changes how you show up on your property in your leasing role or even in your maintenance role. Talk a little bit about your experience with Atlantic Station in Atlanta. Maybe give a little backstory of why they kind of shot a flare up for some help and how you were able to kind of reinvent their process there.
I'll always be grateful for Atlantic Station in Atlanta because it introduced me to the world of residential. Yeah. I really didn't know much about it, right? So I was on a project in Dubai. My office was based in Dubai then. And we just finished this amazing project. We had no budget. We were so lucky. It's just spend. It's brand new. Hurrah. So there I am congratulating myself because we'd launched this wonderful mixed use project. And I get this call from this amazing gentleman called Mark Toro, who was head of North American properties at the time, now Toro Development. And he basically said, we have this distressed asset in Atlanta and there's drugs, prostitution and drive-by shootings, and we thought of you. I was like, thank you very much, I think. I wasn't really sure how to take that. I was like, what the heck? And Tom Miles was the general manager, and I'd worked with him in Dubai, and he's phenomenal. And he said, get her in to Mystery Shop. And they gave me a week to Mystery Shop, but in 18 hours, I could see where all the naughtiness was going on. It was actually with the third-party partners. So we said, I'm not going to do any training. You've got to cull 60% of your third-party partners, housekeeping, groundsman, car park, valet,
security.
Then bring the right partners in and we'll do a holistic hospitality. So even investors came in. So we had Morgan Stanley, CBRE, and to this day, 14 years on, they all come. So every single customer-facing person comes on hospitality training at least once a year. So they all go through it. So they're all singing off the same hymn sheet, as you say over there.
Yeah.
But we all understand the vision, right? And that's what we did, because they said, come and do some motivational training. You can't motivate this lot. They're a bloody nightmare. And I don't believe in motivational training. You either are or you are not motivated. Mm-hmm. But I can teach you how to provide consistent hospitality. And that's what we did.
Love it.
And and of course that was residential. Yeah, that's right. Matrix Residential right there. And Tracy Bowers, she went to my client and said, things are really changing around here. It was her and Melissa White.
Yeah, because they had a multifamily asset that was part of the Atlantic Station build out. Yeah. And
they noticed, and people were staying and the place was changing. It was safe and blah, blah, blah. And then they said, and I said, well, they wanted to meet us. They met us. And then I said, well, come and sit on the training and see what you think. And it was Tracy, Melissa, and then Jericho was there as well. And they said, can you design this for a multifamily company? I went, yeah. And the rest is history.
The rest is history. And that's a day that will remain famous, because that is what ultimately introduced me to you. And it's been a joy having you in my circle, my dear.
Aw, and you. Thank you very much.
You bet.
You're more British than I am. You know that.
We'll talk about that at the end. That'll be a good way to give everybody a laugh at the end. One thing you said, Audra, is that you have people come through annually for this training. So even if they've been through it before, they're still coming through again. Why do you think there's value in that?
Well, there's the refresher element to it, of course. And we're human beings. We do lapse, right? And we get complacent and our feet go to sleep. But also we're changing the courses all the time. We're updating them with information that they need. If there might be codes of conduct that change. There might be announcements that have to be made on properties. There might be employee rules and regulations. But also, when you're managing those customer service standards, you should be elevating them every year, right? Not go, we're managing it now. So, your competitors are not going to hang back. They're going to zoom past you. So we always review the customer service standards, the behaviors we expect. The vision never changes. If you've got a really good, strong vision, that never changes, but how you get there does. And things happen, recessions, all these things, politics, all the disasters. So, and things like training and marketing you can go. Yeah. And then everything falls flat, and then no one knows quite why we haven't got customers anymore. And then sometimes you have to pick up the pace and start again or reinvent. But there's always things changing, but you should never forget the vision or the customer service standards. And also when you're mixing with other people, how wonderful is it when customers see all these different types of employees, together, because they bonded, and it's usually through orientation, training, refreshers, etc. They know each other. And people find comfort and confidence when they see property people talking to each other and genuinely liking each other and having their daily huddles, which, I've got a real thing about, all that kind of thing, So which I insist on with all my clients in all my industries.
And you're training, so if it's a multifamily deal, you're training leasing, property managers, assistant managers, as well as all the service team from groundskeeping all the way up through service managers as one team, which I think is really, really important. That way everybody knows how they impact the customer's ultimate decision to say yes to the address or not. And I think there's a lot of value in people having that knowledge. Hey, even though I'm a groundskeeper here, I can impact curb appeal, which is a great way to draw in, new prospective customers. And it's a great way to keep our current residents happy, because I maintain the grounds in such a way that everybody loves coming home to this place. So I love that.
And how often people see the maintenance more than they do anyone else, right?
100%.
The groundskeeper, you're going past those people every day. Yeah. And they might know the unit number that you live in, but they might not know your name. So flipping the script on that. So I always play with my leasing and maintenance and go, okay, who knows the name of the people living in, 1221, all the leasing people will say the name. And then you say to the mate, who knows where that family live? And all the maintenance will tell you, oh, they live in that one. So we're kind of like, okay, we both need to blend this knowledge base here.
I love it. And, nothing helps to keep the back door closed. Retaining residents is just as important as acquiring new ones. In fact, it's probably more important because it saves you money and it impacts NOI in a larger way. And the maintenance teams, service teams really are the key to that, keeping people happy.
And, it's really strange to me that since COVID, expectations are higher than ever before. It's like, it's really not fair, but expectations are high. And, 78% of people would pay more to get a better service, even if it's further away.
Yep.
So it makes sense to consistently give great service all year round, rather than panic 3 months before renewal and think, let's step up the ante, everybody. Like, what's our vision?
Yeah.
It's a bit late now. They've already been looking. They know their lease is up in 3 months and they're like not happy with what they've received so far. So keeping those people happy all year is so much more important. And I always give credit to multifamily, because when I train in the hotel industry, those people, they're fabulous concierge people, but they only have to deal with those customers maybe 1 or 2 nights.
Yeah.
Multifamily gone for a year or life, right?
Right.
Yeah. So, they're heroes and legends in my book.
Yeah, me too. You make a good point that the expectations changed during COVID. We even as multifamily operators kind of upped our game in terms of going out of our way to be able to provide service in a different way, but still keep them satisfied. And the expectation remains. So we really have to turn up our game. Your company is called Livewire Performance Consultants. And I believe your title is Chief Happiness Officer, yes?
Yes, sir. It is Chief Happiness Officer. That's without drugs or alcohol, just making that clear.
So our listeners can hear. You got me flustered with that one. That was hilarious.
Sorry about it.
No, that's good. It's all good. So you've got a really cool platform for mystery shopping. And I know there's a lot of discussion in some of the multifamily circles that I'm listening to around, people sort of backing away from mystery shopping. It's like it's one moment in one person's, career, and it could make or break them. But there's a lot of value that you find, and you kind of have a different approach to how you mystery shop. Can you share a little bit about that? So it's different than when you talked about taking your trainees and having them look at things through the eyes of the customer and then an investor. But then your mystery shopping is a little bit more even elevated from there.
Yeah, it really is. It's experiential mystery shopping. So we're not so much on the data. And I know people are like, data. But I worked with Disney for many years, and I worked with Imagineers, and they taught me how to mystery shop and how to simulate the customer journey. And then I added all my bits in from hotel and from travel and all the rest of it. So I created this really deep, immersive, experiential mystery shopping. And this is the thing I'm now training clients on. But so the platform, a digital platform, and we focus, the brief's the brief, whatever you want us to be. But if you want us to be a family, a dog owner, whatever it is, we'll take babies in, we'll take dogs in. So we're the most unlikely mystery shoppers you probably would have. But we do all of that to say that then the digital report is brilliant at prompting and capturing critical information, but in a way that we can tell a story around everything, so that we can then give you very, very focused feedback on people, property, service, and digital. And they're all the channels to the customer and back to you as a provider. So in the report, you get these actions straight up front. You get the executive summary, you get the whole actions that you literally can farm off to 4 different departments. So it's not all like, oh my God. And they're the top 3 that you can do immediately. And I would say 90% of them won't cost you money, because it's behavioral. It's all behaviors. So we capture those gaps.
What does Disney say? Behavior breeds behavior? Behavior
breeds behavior, which is absolutely true. Yeah. And so we capture everything. And it doesn't matter what class property you're at. There is always things you can improve on. So this is it's a very pretty digital. It's very gorgeous. We capture evidence. So there's lots of, but we like to catch people doing great stuff too. It's amazing to catch people doing something fabulous, because then we establish a trend within the portfolio as well. It's amazing when people are so in tune with the brand and you capture it in different parts of the portfolio, or we'll recognize opportunities to create consistencies around on the portfolio. The buildings can be different, but the vibe of the tribe is what remains consistent, and they all understand what the vision is. So we'll mystery shop against the vision, the values, and the customer service standards. Then I'll know if it's a hit or miss, right?
Yeah.
But then, because we've got all of our mystery shoppers are experts in hospitality in all sorts of fields, we can bring in, you could learn a lesson from the makeup industry, from the theatre. You can learn it from the airlines, or do it this way. So we're always bringing in recommendations and ideas from different industries.
I love that.
Because I don't think there's no point in just shopping your comps. There's no point.
Right.
If you want to stand out, go and see what other people are doing in different industries. Go to restaurants, hotels, resort, whatever, and think, oh, how could I take that concept and make it better?
That's a real key. That's a real key, because the traditional mystery shopping platform, is comparing you against your competitors for a specific, line of questioning. Did these questions get asked? And we're just comparing ourselves apples to apples. But when you come into the mix and you do it, and you bring in something from a hotel company, or you bring in something from a retail shop, or you bring in something from, a business that's really innovated and reinvented their customer experience, that's a really great learning opportunity for multifamily operators.
Absolutely. One of the things I brought in from different industries to multifamily and to other companies is, from my hotel world, we took away desks and put people with tablets out and put them on sofas or out, and said, and I've said this to several clients, get rid of those leasing desks, get rid of those leasing offices, that's sometimes crammed with paper, and, they become dumping grounds for people, or they're just showrooms where you daren't touch them. Get rid of them. Be standing, you've got people coming, be ready, have beautiful sofas or whatever it is. We did that. We did something for the top security team at Google's headquarters in Atlanta, actually. Oh. We were working with United Security, and they're amazing, concierge security. Mm-hmm. So again, they've used us because of our Disney work and Atlanta Braves work. So we were applying concepts from those two industries to United Security. They then get Google. So now we're working with security people, not in uniform. We've got them in Hugo Boss uniforms.
Sure.
How fabulous is that? Their guys look amazing. And we took away the podium, took away the chairs, So now they're wandering around talking to everybody instead of at a podium, on the phone, board ridges, staring at the door.
Well, and how many times do we say to people in leasing, get your butt out of your chair, stand and greet, stand, smile, and greet.
Yeah.
When there's no seat to sit in, you can't help but stand.
You're much more proactive. And if you know that you've got somebody coming, you could be at that door or outside, with an umbrella or with a smile or with a coffee or waterway. Yeah. There's so much you can do when you're not sat on your backside, on your bottom.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it.
I know it might sound awful taking chairs and stuff away, but it's amazing how fast your day goes when you're up and about and proactive.
Yes, and there are areas where you can go sit, and there's a nice, lovely sofa in the main clubhouse that you can, sit at. But I think it's interesting. Yeah. Just thinking outside the box.
You can bring it. We just bring different ideas. That's all.
I love that. Hi, folks. I wanted to take a quick 30-second break so that I could say, I hope you're enjoying today's episode, which couldn't be brought to you without being superpowered by Sales Mail. I mean, really, we couldn't produce this content without them. Sales Mail is the easiest and best tool for sending personalized video via email, text, and CRM. So, if you really are enjoying today's episode, it would mean a lot to me if you would visit salesmail.com so you can check out how our solutions might impact your business communications. And don't forget to follow us on LinkedIn as well. Okay, that's enough. Now back to the conversation. Circling back to another thing that you mentioned, you talk about all these third-party partners and how initially at Atlantic Station, the third-party partners were part of the problem, because they didn't know what the goal was for the owners, right? And so I think, one thing you say is, you keep referring to their mission and their values. And, if you're a multifamily operator listening and you don't have a mission, vision, and values statement that can, define how you're going to operate as a company and how you're going to hold one another accountable, I think that that's a really important first step.
Yeah.
And then secondly, having your third-party vendors aligned with your service expectations. So if you expect your leasing team to act a certain way when they're on your property and they're working with your customers and your residents, why would you not hold your third-party partner to those same standards? And
Absolutely.
So how do you help owners to see that? And do you also train their third-party partners in some of these activities that you put on?
We do a lot of the vision, mission, values, and customer service standards creation for or with the client.
Okay.
So several, in fact, in multifamily, we've started from scratch, and certainly in other clients. So all my retail clients, we've started from scratch. So even if you've got an investor, an owner operator, you've all got your own different companies, different visions. So we then will look at the property and go, well, okay, you've got that vision, but actually what's the purpose of this property? Is it to bring joy? Is it for families? Is it for art? Is it for excitement? Is it for thrills? So whatever it is, that property is, we design the vision with the client, and then we can design back from that all the training. So any training I design and every training I design comes back from the vision. So I always check, are you still on course with your vision? Have you got one? Are you still, does this still resonate? Is this still true today? And there's no shame in going, oh, I'm not actually sure. Because if they deliberate and they're like, oh, I'm not really sure, they go, well, we need to start something. Because if you're not sure about this, you've not bought into this and you're at this level, how are you going to expect the people on the ground to do it? And how are you going to expect 100%. Customers to do it? Your third party partners. So everybody has to be on this, and the simpler, the better. So when I worked in hotels, they would quite often have 12 customer service standards, and I go, let's get it down to 6 because it's got to be manageable too, right? I mean, Ritz-Carlton has 12 values and that, but at the end of the day, they're ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen. If that's all the people remember, that's fabulous, because we all behave like ladies and gentlemen, whatever it is, right?
Right.
So there's all sorts of ways around it, but it always starts with vision, values, and customer service standards. And I remember having a customer saying once, well, what do the values do? What we've got to do them? Just pick 6 words that everybody else has used. Integrity, la, 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 la. And I went, okay. So again, this is a really, really good point to make, because the values, you can hire and fire and promote and develop people against those values.
Yeah.
The people you hire don't have to embody every single value, but if they align with them, that's wonderful.
Yes. Yeah. And that's something you can't teach.
Positivity and it creates a wonderful cohesive environment if people's values are aligned, and that's how you can make really difficult decisions as well against those. So they're so key before we design.
And then you leave that organization after you've done that initial training or a few training sessions. They're left with enough knowledge, resources that they're able to sustain that and train on their own. So as a listener, if you're a community manager and you have been trained what your expectations are, what your values are, all those good things, as you're dealing with your vendors day to day, make sure you share that with them. Hey, when you're here at this property, we like to smile and wave at our customers. We would appreciate it if you and your teams, while they're here doing landscaping, would, just smile and wave. You don't have to talk. You don't have to engage, but at least be friendly. I think that's a really great thing to kind of encourage people to do, because it's not just about us. That, when there's a contractor on site, they're representing you, your organization, your values, and if they don't align, boy, it can cause a real rub.
Absolutely. We did an experiment years ago. I think you remember this, when there was a distressed asset, and we new third party partners came on board, and their English was their second language, but they were from all different parts of the world. It was fascinating. So we did the smile and wave. So we actually didn't concentrate on the customers at all. We told them to ignore the customers and just look out for other third-party partners on property. This is like a 93-acre property. So I said, every time you see another uniform, whether it's housekeeping, car park, valet, maintenance, grounds, elevator, whatever it is, I want you to smile and wave.
Yeah.
And they did. And then we went on the rooftops of the Cheesecake Factory, as it was called then. And we, as the management, we all sat and watched, and we literally watched them all do it, right? And they're doing it, and they do it. Day 2, customers start doing it. they want to get in on the act. So it's just behavior breeds behavior.
Yeah.
So when customers witness, this is why I was saying earlier, it's so important for people to see that the employees really do love being there and being with each other. It gives, comfort and confidence in service. So, what I'm doing with all the customers. And then so on day 3, we said, right, you can actively go and do it with everybody now.
Yeah, love
and it was just lovely to see. It was really lovely to see. And it was just such a wonderful environment to be in,
Yeah, that's amazing. That behavior breeds behavior has a lot more power than people give it credit for, right?
Well, then after that, the behavior piece is there. Then we said, we want you to learn one English word a day. So then when we came into class, it didn't matter what the word was. They just said it. And then we test them at the end. It was just silly words. Some of it was hello, goodbye, welcome. So they made it, fit for work. But we just said, just any word that you love or tickles you or, want to share with people. And they were laughing, and giggling about these different words. And then they were, by the end of the week, they're all kind of piecing stuff together. And then when I see them 3 months later, because at large properties I'm in every 3 to 4 months, they've now got sentences and small conversations formed. And then we make sure we use that in the daily huddles as well. So make sure that, they're not left out, So you may have more Spanish speaking than English people on the team.
Sure,
so let the Spanish speakers run it. Or make it dual, so that's interesting to see as well.
I love it. Well, there's so many tools now with Google Translate, and I have a little device called Enance that has multiple languages that it can translate. So, if you do have folks on your team that don't speak English as their first language, don't make their experience any less valuable, rich, engaging just because that language is the barrier, because we've got far too many tools at our fingertips to help us overcome that. I love it.
I've got a wonderful client, North American Properties. They've just been bought by Jamestown, actually. So that's all going on at the moment, and it's really exciting. And I went I go and watch their huddles. I never let them know when I'm coming to town, and I'm generally in disguise. So I can't open my mouth because that gives it away. And I'm very good. I can't speak American very well. But and I watched this one team. Where were they? Birkdale, North Carolina, I think. And they were mainly Spanish, and so I wanted to go and witness the huddles, and I pretend to be a customer going by. And they had a ball, and on this football, like every hexagon that's sewn in, they had a Spanish word, phrase, or dare, truth, dare, or we're all in Spanish. So because there was more Spanish, they got the English speaking to learn Spanish, so it's the other way around. I was watching them throw the ball, and so the English person had to say what that word meant or do what the dare was or whatever it was, and they could rub it off. So the Spanish people were doing different truths, dares and words every day. It was very funny, but it was so lovely to see where when I first went there, mystery shop, there's the security, the housekeeping was stood there, quiet, arms folded, really, not being included. So when we again flipped it around, we went, right, you're in charge and let's do it. Oh my God. And a little war cry, and they're only 5 minutes a day. And you've got between, 3 and 15 people, and they're 5 minutes a day. They will say their bit and then they're gone. Yeah,
I love it.
Easy.
And that's not your typical, it's not just about who's moving in, who's moving out, what work orders do we have, what emergencies do we have. It's also about helping the team to bond and learn about one another and appreciate each other's differences, which is very cool.
Yeah. I really love that. That personal piece is so important, isn't it? Celebrating birthdays and achievements.
It really is.
Things like that.
I remember just recently, when I was helping Capital Square Living to, acquire 4 to 6 properties a month as they were, bringing their management in-house, we would go on site and do these initial visits and talk about benefits and talk about culture. And there were so many folks that were Spanish speakers. I mean, most of the meeting I'm on my phone trying to translate things and showing it to them just because I didn't want them to not have that same experience. And so I think it's really important for us to think, because, I mean, it's the name of the game anymore. And for folks that are listening, some of you have your credentials and you have to attend educational opportunities to keep your credentials current. I really encourage you guys to, try out Babbel or, find an English as a second language school or a school that teaches another language in your area, and start to learn Spanish or, German or, whatever the case might be. It just enriches your life. You learn about other cultures, and then you can be a bit more inclusive as well. So very cool. Yeah. I've got one other thing I want to talk to you about, because I think it's interesting with your platform. I mean, and we're going to make sure that everybody knows how to get a hold of Livewire Performance Consulting and how to get a hold of you. But you mentioned, when you're doing all of these training sessions, it doesn't matter the type of asset that it is. And I think a lot of times, multifamily operators have this kind of set way that they think about things, and like, affordable properties, they don't need to have, good customer service. They've got waiting lists. They've got, I don't really have to lease. I don't really have to work too hard to lease because, I've got a waiting list that's 4 years long. But if you think about Disney, they've got the Grand Floridian, which is like $1,500 a night for a room. And then they've got the Country Western Resort, which is, like a Motel 6, very affordable, because they know that they've got customers who are appealed to both kinds of properties. But the service that you get at both is the same. Yes, and I think that's a real great aha moment for our listeners, is it doesn't matter whether you're a brand new high rise with all the fit and finish that is modern and desirable, or if you're a 30-year-old, 40-year-old asset that, has a lot of weather under its belt. You can still deliver an amazing service experience. And when the service is good, and Disney knows this better than anybody, because it's not cheap to go to Disney and it never goes down. The price always goes up, because they know if people have a great experience, they're willing to come back and to pay more for it. Yeah. And I think, so talk just a little bit about your perspective in that regard.
I totally agree with what you're saying, because at the end of the day, we're all humans and we all deserve respect. And how wonderful if you're making somebody's day, just regardless of what they're paying a month to live there, and that, they would choose to be with you and to stay with you. I worked with a client in Texas who had a lot of affordable housing, and I was so blown away because he asked me for everything that a high-end client would want. So I showed him everything that we did. He went, "Oh no, I want that one." And I was like, "Really? You want that?" That was like music to my ears. I was like, I just love that. He said, "I care about these people." He said, "And my people, once they move in, they don't want to move out. Yes, it's taken care of because of their situation, but they're really good tenants. Behavior breeds behavior. Yeah, when you look after them, they look after the properties." And he'd come from a different background where nobody was taking care of the residents, so the residents weren't taking care of the properties. And then crime grew and blah, blah. So he always swore that when he got his own company, and I worked with him when he got his own company. He's across Texas and he's very successful, and the residents love that company. I love them. They don't advertise. There's no website required. But they love it, and the staff are some of the happiest I've seen ever.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
I just think that speaks volumes.
And I do want to say, I don't want to make generalizations or say, affordable properties think this way, but it is, sometimes something that I hear people say when we don't have to worry about leasing because we've got a waiting list. Well, guess what? If you don't have to worry about leasing, then take your time and up your ante on your customer experience and the level of service that you're providing.
Yeah. Love that. Channel that energy, that positive energy into something that's unbelievable. We did a wonderful program with Gallery Residential and something very similar with Atlanta Apartment Association with extreme hospitality and epic hospitality. One's based on a book, Unreasonable Hospitality, that we did with Will Guidera. And I actually spoke to Will Guidera's team and said that we're going to be doing something very similar. Can we get some books? And another client, we ended up getting 30 books for people. And it was so insightful because there's no limit to what you can do. And although that book's about the restaurant world, the impact with the multifamily clients has been huge. Like, we just didn't think we could think like that. And it's like, well, I'm not creative. It's like, well, you are, but you just haven't given yourself time or permission to practice being creative in how you want to elevate people's experiences. and your colleagues, they're the most important people of all, by the way. So when way back from the airlines days, we were always told colleague first, customer second.
I love that.
It's kind of like, it's more relatable now, probably because of COVID, but we were taught that back in the 80s.
Wow. I just did a session with Kara Rice from Swift Bunny, and we were talking about, it's called building vibrant communities, and what does a sense of community mean to today's renter versus what it meant, 10, 15 years or 5 years ago. It's different now. Yeah. But one of the pieces she brings up is she's like, the customer isn't the most important thing. And people are like, what? And she's like, no, the team has to be a team. They have to gel. They have to collaborate. They have to have one another's backs. And when that happens, it's a natural kind of evolution where that experience bleeds out into the customer journey or customer experience. And I love that you brought that up. That's amazing.
Oh, that's really good. And and it's true then today, even more so, we need to be so much kinder to each other. And, what we're learning, really from top level management, are they leading with their hearts or with their rules and policies? Yep. And you get more from people if decisions are made from the heart than from rules and policies. Yes, I know there've got to be some decisions based on that. Of course I do. But sometimes the return is phenomenal if you just put yourself in that person's shoe, right?
Yeah.
And lead with that first. Let the heart do its bit first.
It's almost like that creates this emotional tie or loyalty, whatever you might want to call it, when you work for an organization that kind of works in that regard. Like people want to stay. They want that. I want to be a part of this because I'm valued, I'm seen, I'm heard. Good stuff.
Yeah, it's lovely. There's so many stories out there, right?
Too many stories. We should have a story day one day. Tell your best multifamily stories. Well, listen, we could probably talk for another 3 days on this topic. I love it. Yeah. But I do have one question for you. I mean, you've had such an amazing experience. You've worked all over the world. You've seen, the best service, and you've also seen some of the scariest service. At Multifamily Mind, we use the word audacious in a positive way, like an audacious explorer, somebody who's got that, drive to succeed. I'm going to climb that mountain no matter what people say. I'm going to, do this no matter how hard people think it might be. I'm going to be audacious. And
is this like big, hairy, audacious goals?
Yeah, well, sort of. Maybe like a BHAG, kind of. You fix common bugs, and, Livewire helps operators and owners to kind of think uncommonly, to think outside the box, because you're taking in learnings from all kinds of different, types of businesses and industries. And I love that. What is the most audacious recommendation that you've made or that you would like to make and see someone implement in their company?
Well, a few years ago, just thinking, because I was fresh from a hotel client, I did say to a multifamily client, this a few years ago, and I've not seen it yet, but you're going to correct me, I know, because you know everything. But I did think way back they should be able to check in and out of apartments like hotels. So if you're part of a brand that, you don't have to move your furniture here, there and everywhere, that you can have that type of furniture again if you want it or not, the choice. But the fact is, don't be beholden or tied to a lease. Be able to check in and out, right. So a lot of jobs are transitional. A lot of people want to try different states, etc., etc. They change their lifestyles. So change this leasing stuff, this leasing policy. A lot of leasing people go, no. But, we'll give you something
well, it's just a different model. It's just a different model.
It's a different model. But it's like they're being so flexible that's like, you know what, I'm going to be in New York for a month. I don't want to have to pay that. And then I'm going to, just let me check into from that portfolio. I'm going to do it. My home is in New York for a month. Oh, my home's back in Alabama for a month. Oh, whatever it's going to be, but be really flexible and have so many many choices, and have your preferences set so that you don't have to go through the whole thing again. Like, I want a gym, I want a bike park, I want a belt line, I want shopping. So your preferences are set that you can update, And then the algorithm works it out and goes and spits out, these are the best properties for you to move to. So you can leave all your furniture behind, or have an unfit. It's up to you. But that real tailored living experience. Now you're going to tell me they do it already, aren't you?
Well, I'm going to tell you, first of all, it's so I don't know if you all could tell or not, and we didn't actually say this for sure, but Audra is in the UK, if you hadn't figured that out yet. And in the UK,
I think I'm from Alabama.
In the UK, that kind of experience is more common than it is over here in the States. A lot more operators have furnished apartments that they're renting, and they're all set up by the same, I think like Loft is one of the companies in the UK that it's a lot in the student, purpose-built student accommodations area. But yeah, I mean, that's an interesting concept to think about. Apartment hotels, apart hotels. There's a lot of room to grow in that vernacular, I think.
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's a couple companies that do similar things. One being Landing, where you pay a membership fee. You can lease it. They've got properties they don't have properties everywhere, but they have them in cities that people want to live in. Yeah. And you're not tied to a traditional 6-month, 12-month lease. You can be there for 2 weeks. You could be there for 6 months. But to your point, we've got a demographic of these, digital nomads who want to kind of be in different places and see different things. And it's a great opportunity. And, when you rent a Landing apartment, it is, to your point, it's all the same furniture, the same pots and pans, the same dishes, it's the same mattress. And so you can walk right in with just your suitcase and have a full living experience and know what to expect.
I've just done one, actually, Scout Living, and it's a blend of hotel and multifamily.
Okay.
So we were testing it to see that was actually the case, and you can book the room up to 363 days a year, so it doesn't turn into a lease, right? So
sure, yeah.
Different over there to over here. So you can literally say, I'm going to be here for 11 months and 10 days, or I'm going to be here for like 3 months or 2 days or 6 weeks or whatever. And it was and everything was in this, and you can pick your vibe, right? So this was very, although it was over in America, it was very European vibe, very architecty things and they've got all the different templates with different vibes. So I'm going back to look at do a bigger one next time, but that was Scout Living, and that was really interesting. So if you want to do some competitive shops, go and tour a Scout Living as well. Yeah. That's a Jamestown. They just started that.
Okay,
it's interesting. Yeah, the blends.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to look them up.
Yeah,
very audacious. Thank you, my dear. It's been a pleasure having you. I can't wait for our listeners to you've given some good takeaways. If you are listening and your company has a need for training, leasing training, service training, customer service, we'll make sure that you all know how to get a hold of Audra and how to connect with Livewire Performance Consultants. And we sure do appreciate your time. I know it's late over there in the UK, so enjoy your evening. And we will see you back here next time on the Multifamily Mind, superpowered by Sales Mail, the easiest way to send personalized video messages via email, text, and CRM. We'll see you next time. Cheerio, Audra.
Cheerio, ta-ta, toodle pip.
Pip, pip. Toodle pip.
Toodles.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Multifamily Mind Podcast, brought to you by Sales Mail, the easiest way to send personalized video via email, text, and CRM. To learn more, go to salesmail.com. And remember, always be audacious. Until next time, I'm Steve Wunsch. Have a great week.